Lon Milka and Sandra Purcell live in two very different communities in the foothills of the Sierra. Lon's home in Cool is in a gated, fire-wise community filled with highly manicured, regulated properties.
We're a close-knit community. We have a lot of activities going on. Put it bluntly, friends asked us, I said, we plan on dying here, so this is our forever home.
Sandra's neighborhood, on the other hand, is characterized by dense scrub oaks and winding, friendly property lines.
When I was going through my chemo, we were living here. I was diagnosed about a year after we bought the house. And chemo is very challenging. It's hard on the body and it's hard on the spirit. And I have to say, living here in all this beauty made a difference for me. I don't know if I would have recovered as well if I lived somewhere else.
Most feel the same. They came here for the beauty, for the trees. Now they're on the front lines of a looming crisis, united in their struggle to obtain consistent, affordable fire insurance for their homes, an increasingly elusive necessity in California.
We had one insurer when we bought this house in 2012, and we were with them for, I want to say, 3 or 4 years, and then they opted no longer to be in this market, so we had to find alternatives. We found another company. We were with them for a year with no claims, and then they opted not to renew us. And then we found another company and were with them for a year, and then they opted not to renew us.
Eventually, Sandra did get insurance, but only when it was paired with the California Fair Plan, which is then known as a RAP, or DIC, Difference in Conditions Policy, and at a steep price. The same is true for Lon. He saw his insurance premium rise 300% last year.
Well, right now it puts us in quite the dilemma. And that dilemma is, well, how much do we have to save this year to pay for our insurance next year? So we're continuously on edge.
Shelby Meyer is an agency producer with Farmers Insurance. She gained a reputation for being able to find insurance for near-desperate homeowners.
What it is there's a lot of companies out there that aren't willing to accept the fire risk anymore. A lot of companies that have seen claims from the prior fires in the area are going insolvent because they just can't afford it anymore. And so what we're seeing is the high risk, high demand, high prices.
What also unites many homeowners in the foothills is their station in life. Many are on fixed incomes.
My husband and I we met late in life. We're approaching a retirement age. I no longer work because of cancer. So we're on a pretty strict income. This home not only is our home base, but really essentially in logical terms, it's part of our retirement.
Those in communities removed from the pressure in the foothills often believe smart fire planning can make insurance cheaper and more accessible. But Lon knows better.
You could take as many steps as you want, fire-wise, defensive zones, whatever it may be, and the insurance companies will drop you no matter what. They're abandoning us, and we're not getting a whole lot of help from our government, our state government.
He's right. In California, there's no requirement that an insurance company reward customers for clearing brush, removing trees, or hardening their homes in any way against fire.
So help making your house more fire-wise is going to help in the worst-case scenario whenever the fire is on its way, obviously. But the fire lines, they determine where you're at, regardless of what position your house is on the hill or anything like that.
The concept of a fire line score is still confusing to many, but Amy Bach knows them well. She started a nonprofit that advocates for the insured called United Policyholders back in 1991. She's frequently consulted on policy matters relating to insurance in California and around the country.
In terms of price setting and evaluating risks, again, there's something called the fire line score. These days, it's all tech-driven. So, if you go into an insurance agent's office to buy home insurance, and he or she is just going to plug your information in and run a program, it's going to spit out a quote. So technology has replaced a lot of the human element in insurance.
Amy says her organization first noticed the emergence of fire line scores in 2016, around the time 100 million trees died during the drought crisis.
But we knew that the fire line score was changing the landscape quickly. And so now it turns out, I think it's a driver of the crisis, there's no question, because what it is just like your credit score, it makes it easy for an insurance company to put you in the toss bin instead of in the keep bin. And that seems to be a big part of the problem.
It's created hard-to-explain situations for people in fire-prone communities.
They can be on one side of the street and have a fire line score of 5, and they could be on the other side and have a fire line score of 10. There's not necessarily rhyme or reason for that, and that's because, when you rely too heavily on formulas and machines and not enough on common sense, you can get those kind of funky outcomes.
Those numbers mean everything when it comes to insurability.
I talked to an insurance agent in Placer County just last week who told me that one company that he has worked with will insure a home only if it has a 1 to 5 score, but once it gets to 6 and above, they won't touch it. He has another company that will take a 6 and below. But generally, the insurers seem to be taking a very conservative view of the model where they will only insure homes that have that very low score.
Amy says the California Department of Insurance hired a consulting firm to look at the Fireline model, and they concluded there was nothing wrong with it, but it's just one piece of information.
And it needs to get paired with other pieces of information and not used as the sole, yes, we'll insure you, or no, we won't factor.
Now it is.
And now it is.
Amy says she expects the legislature to step in this session.
Insurers have been allowed to create this chaos, and I think there's a statewide recognition that we can't have this.
Amy says the legislature can do 3 things right now to help. 1, create standards for reducing the risk of wildfires based on real CAL FIRE data. 2, create a financial assistance program for people who can't afford fire reduction improvements. And 3, require insurance companies to reward policyholders for the steps they've taken. For many, though, help can't come soon enough.
It's terrifying to think that this thing that is, it's your home. It's everything that you need. It's your home base. It's your security. And it could be taken away from you or jeopardized.